Thanks for coming. A couple quick comments on the game. We usually give out the champion awards, which we did today. On defense, these are the guys that played well. For the new media people, it's champions. We give everybody gets graded, and if you give champion effort, you get recognized in front of your peers. And champions on defense were Jalen Holmes. Had a heck of a day, 7 hurries and 2 QB knockdowns and 2 PBUs, 2 tackles, 2 assists, tackle for loss. So he had a hell of a day. Nicky Bosa had 2 sacks, 4 QB hurries and 4 knockdowns. Draymond Jones, 6 hurries and 1 knockdown, a tackle for loss. Sam Hubbard, 3 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 7 hurries and 6 knockdowns. Have a day, Sam. Tracy Sprinkle and Jordan Fuller obviously had interception. Defensive player of the game was Tyquan Lewis with 2 tackles, assists, 2 tackles for loss, a sack, a hurry, and 3 QB knockdowns. On offense, J.T. Barrett, I won't read his stats. He just played very well. You know his stats. On receivers, you have K.J. Hill, Johnny Dixon, which is great to see, and Terry McLaurin, graded champions. All 5 offensive linemen did, so that's pretty good for the first start for Brandon Bowen. All 5 offensive linemen graded out champion: Isaiah Prince, Billy Price, Brandon Bowen, Jamarco Jones, and Michael Jordan. And we had co-players of the game. Paris Campbell had 7 catches, 142 yards, and played very well without the ball. And J.K. Dobbins making his first start as a Buckeye, 91% grade out, 181 yards rushing, and 3 explosive runs. So that is on offense. On kicking, you had special efforts where Amir Reep had tackle inside the 50, on the 13-yard line. Austin Mack had a tackle on the 12-yard line on kickoff, and Drew Chrisman, our punter, punted down one on the 8. Our Thursday race runner, which we call him, is Elijah Goins, who had a heck of a day. And Amir Reep was our player of the game. He had 9 plays, 13 production points. A lot of work to be done as a great football team comes in here. We have a lot of respect, obviously, for the personnel and the way they do their business. So this will be a great opportunity for us to showcase in front of a big crowd and come back home and play a game. You evaluate the game, which I'm sure I'll get a bunch of questions. Disappointed in certain areas, which is not uncommon for the first game when you have some new players out there. But overall, I thought we tightened up. I want to say we gave up 55 yards passing in the last 20 minutes of the game. And obviously on offense, you had 300 yards, a nice balanced approach after we had, other than the 4, I think there were 4 3-and-outs, which killed us in the first half. Kills your defense, too. So that said, I'll answer any questions for you.
Fourth or right, Nick? A lot of series now between non-conference opponents are going to neutral sites as opposed to the traditional home and home. As a coach, do you have a preference one way or the other?
Going to a neutral site or playing home?
Yeah.
I'll play home, but once again, I don't get involved in too much of the scheduling, and I like to playing in Horseshoe, if that's the question.
And when you look at Indiana, they have a very clear offensive identity, a veteran quarterback, and some big talent receiver. Was that a good team to play right before Oklahoma? Did that make your team better?
I mean, it gave us, our corners, some humbling and some, obviously, to get out and go. Players, you come here to be great, and our coaches coach here to be great, and in some areas we did not play great. So to answer your question, I think to beat a team 70-0 right now is not what we need. We need to get some guys, a lot of guys played 90-plus plays, and I'm glad we played them on a Thursday now, because now they gave us a couple extra days to get healed up.
Front row left, Bill.
Urban, it seems like you may have the perfect scout team guy for Baker Mayfield if you're using Tate Martell in that role. I don't know if you guys are. Are you, I guess? And then do you see similarities between Tate and Baker Mayfield?
Interesting. We have not yet. I think tomorrow we probably will a little bit. But Baker is what I love about the kid is he's a young man. He's a competitive guy. So yeah, that's an interesting comparison, and I haven't thought much of it, but I can see that in Tate as well.
And then different topic. You've mentioned before about how you guys recruiting nationally might open up Ohio to other programs. Do you keep tabs on who is taking advantage of that, and maybe do you take note especially of when Oklahoma is in Ohio the way they are this year? It seems like they're more active in this class.
Oh yeah, we actually follow guys through their journey when they go somewhere else too, because I want to know if we made a mistake. and that's tough. To be honest, I can't stand it, and that's early recruiting has hurt us with that because everybody wants to know if they're offered, and so yeah, we're very leery of it, and I'd like to take all our players from Ohio, but you also got to take the best players, and you know, we do our best to evaluate and project as well because we've had incredible players here. There were projections, and so we monitor who comes in the state. We monitor how well the players do. We track their whole careers. And I'll, for example, come in and say, tell me about whatever happened to this guy, and I need to know, you know, where and why if we did make a mistake, and we have made some mistakes.
Front row left, Mitch.
Urban, what do you know about Lincoln Riley? Is it more difficult to game plan against a guy like that who doesn't really have a coaching footprint yet?
No, because they have the same coordinators on both sides of the ball, and I know Coach Bob Stoops very well, and you know, I know why he did that because he thought he would carry on the same culture that he created, and so it's going to be the same Oklahoma team.
Do you know anything about him, Riley?
Just coaching against them last year, and we'll say what they did throughout the season. I mean, they had a great season last year.
Front row right, Austin.
To kind of follow up on that with Bob Stoops, you talked about your friendship with him a lot. Were you surprised that he stepped down? Had you had any conversations that you might have seen this coming, or since then, since he's moved on?
Well, we've had a couple conversations since he's moved on, and I did not see it coming. However, you know, I just know how important family is, and I know he's a real guy. He's a guy that is a friend, and I have much respect for him over the years. So I'm really happy for him.
Do you think there's any chance he could return? I mean,
no, I don't know.
With Lincoln Riley, had he ever been on your radar as a guy to work with, or in the past?
I remember when, I believe it was East Carolina, he was a really good, you know, one of those hot names that you researched a little bit, and I did research him a little bit, but obviously he's a great coach.
Second row right, Bill.
Coach, you mentioned Sam and Taekwon and the job they've done, obviously those stats in the pass rush, but what has impressed you about that defensive line's ability to help stop the run?
Yeah, they negated the run against, at one point it was minus yardage, I think, going in the fourth quarter, and Draymond really had a good game there as well. So the ability, we played an inordinate amount of plays, and I'm not sure we would have been able to, you know, I don't want to say not win the game, but that would have been if you don't have a rotation going in one of those kind of ball games where you're playing 90 plays, and its pass rush is so much more exhausting than run defense, because rushing a quarterback is one of the hardest things to do. And to do that, I think they threw it 65 times, and you're blown out. So we were able to, Coach Johnson got a lot of players in there and kept them rotating. So being able to be fresh and be able to stop the run, they're very good players, and they're going to be very good all year. I think the biggest thing we have advantage is there's a rotation going, and that makes us good against the run and the pass.
Front row, Bill.
Now that you've had a few days to digest the IU game, how ready do you think you are for Oklahoma?
Yeah, we're not just Monday practice, but we got to get better in certain areas. There's no doubt about it.
Which areas, other than you mentioned defense?
Yeah, I've already talked about that. You know, the obvious is we got to knock some balls down, and the one thing about IU, that quarterback was extremely accurate in that game. I told him after the game, that's one of the most accurate games I've ever seen a quarterback play. And the receivers made a bunch of great catches, and we got to knock some more balls away. So that's one area. And coming out the offensive line, we played well for a good majority of the game, but we had a couple, gave up one sack, I believe, and I was right. That was nonsense right at the end of the first half. But we didn't get the movement early in the game that we got later in the game.
And I'm assuming that Mike Weber is going to be ready for this
yes.
game? And how do you envision the rotation working at running back?
I haven't figured that out yet. They'll both play, but we haven't figured the exact rotation. I want to see how Mike had a good practice today. He went full speed today.
Second row left, Ari.
Urban, last year you guys made an emphasis on recruiting the state of Texas, and you guys landed 3 of the top 6 players in that state, which is pretty impressive. Did you guys, I mean, Texas has always been an important state for you, but did you guys see that at the time there was some transition going on at Texas, and that there was a time where you guys might attack the most? And how important, I know that you guys have some Twitter campaigns about how important Texas is to you and stuff. How important is it moving forward, and how often do you encounter Oklahoma in that state too?
Oh, sure. Oklahoma, Texas is a big state for Oklahoma. I love Texas players, I always have. I don't know if we've had many misses in my entire career and from Texas. I mean, they're usually so well coached and, you know, tough guys, and And Texas last year is one of those things where we throw out the net early in recruiting, like in spring recruiting, and you're going to gauge people's interest. You know, there might be a great player, but he's, you know, just has zero interest to leaving home. We just happened to throw the net out and like, whoa, you know, we had some, just like Wyatt Davis. We didn't pinpoint Wyatt Davis. We threw the net out of the best players in America. And if you get the response back, hey, you know, I always ask a question, what's your interest in Ohio State? And I can usually tell within 16 seconds if it's, you know, well, it's, you know, the Wyatt Davis, that's my dream school, and I'm very interested. There you go. And the same thing with Okuda, Baron Browning, and J.K., they were very interested right from the jump.
When you look at just the success that you've had, obviously, did you guys go into that last year knowing that, hey, this is the time to strike, there's some turnover going on in Texas with the coaching, you know,
You kind of monitor that, but it's more the kid, the player, because we've had great success in Atlanta and Georgia sometimes, or Florida sometimes, where programs aren't struggling. It's just that young man might have an Ohio background. You know, J.K. loved our offense right out of the get-go. I mean, he was ready to commit the minute we said hello to him. It was one of those deals, and we just had to make sure and said, who's this? And then turned out all right.
And one last thing that's a little bit...
Good recruiting there.
Another recruiting question. No, I actually have...
How long are we going to go here? Are we going to go well?
I wish we could go all day, to be honest. But I have a question about Denzel Ward. Obviously, Denzel has been a pretty big part of your guys' defense, and if you look at a lot of the pre-NFL draft boards, a lot of scouts really like what he's doing. I was wondering, for how good of a game as he did play, I think there are times where he's matched up with players that are half foot taller than him. How can a great player overcome his height disadvantage at times? And is there like a certain, you know what I mean? Because
Sure. That's one of the dilemmas. Everybody wants a 6'1" corner. There's not many of them out there. We were you know, we had Eli, we had Marshawn and Garyon were all the long corners. Denzel is, you know, he's not that small, but you have to be exceptional in technique. It's no different than a receiver. How do you overcome? Everybody wants a 6'4" receiver. Well, KJ's not 6'4", so what does he have to? He has to overcome it with incredible technique, and obviously, you know, the vertical jump, to be able to knock a ball out of a, and then we practice the heck out of that, and that's much, you know, that's much more difficult. Can be done though.
Excuse me, sorry about that, Coach. Front row left, Doug.
Urban, Lincoln Riley, a young coach from the offensive side of the ball. When you were a young head coach, what is the difference then and now? How much you're involved in the nitty-gritty X and O game planning stuff, as opposed to maybe when you get more established in career and it's more about culture and all that stuff? How big of a difference is it? And if there is a difference, do you miss that at all?
Yeah, great question. I take a little offense to that young coach thing. But we'll discuss that later, Doug. That's a great question. As you were talking, I was starting to think back that, you know, I was a nut job when I first started. I was involved in defense, offense, kicking, calling everything, doing everything, and I probably screwed up people more than helped them. So I think I've learned, just matured with age, and I've been hired an experience. And, you know, the more quality coaches you can hire and get your hands on, the less, you know, you kind of you hire guys to coach. So it'll be interesting to watch a young coach like that, to see his development, if he'll remain the play caller down the road. And, you know, I've seen it work both ways. I've seen where that starts to take away because you don't get to know the defensive players. So my way of doing that as I continue to grow in my career was coach of special teams, because that way I get offense and defense, and I can get to know our players. You know, I worry about if I'm coaching the quarterbacks and I'm coaching offense, which I kind of did at times, and I failed other areas. So it'll be interesting.
We talk with you about so much stuff. I don't know how much we talk with you about just like offensive game plan. You know, we're talking about culture and, you know, 4 to 6 A to B and all that. How much do you like that part of football?
Well, I hear people say that, you know, I have colleagues that have been head coaches and they don't like the other part. I actually like that as much or better. The culture, the strain, the 4 to 6 A to B, the mantra of the week, those type of things. And I think I'm probably better at that, or I'm not better, but that's something that's why Coach Mick and I are so knee deep in our team, because every team's different, every week's different, every day's different. So, the great question, but I'm still very involved, obviously, but I'm more involved, or I like that other part as much as anything.
And then I wanted to ask about JT. Tom Allen, after the game, said They dropped a lot of people, covered with 8 a lot, because when you have a quarterback that's not an accurate quarterback, that's what you do. What does JT have to do to overcome that if teams are going to do that? They're worried about your speed. You guys showed that. But if they think JT's not that accurate, what does JT have to do?
Improve his accuracy. And I know that. Oh yeah, he was. He had a very good day Saturday. You know, if we catch a couple more of those balls, which they were right on target. I don't know how many drops we had. I know one big one, and I want to say there was 1 or 2 others that we could have come down with. So, yeah, he's a very accurate passer, and I made this comment when the accuracy of a quarterback has to do with the timing and relationship he has with the receivers. If he's expecting a receiver to come back to me and the receiver goes there, and it may look like the quarterback's fault. And that's what happened the last couple. We've had, you know, some accuracy issues with JT, but also the receivers. Much better now.
We've got time for 2 more. Back row left, Bill.
Urban was moved. So when you said you wish you had hit more deep balls, was that, obviously it's not always on the quarterback, but I do remember the ball pass, overshot in the end zone. You know, how much does JT have to shoulder on that?
He shoulders it all. If you guys know JT's, you know, probably not like I do, but JT shoulders it all. But, you know, we're shooting. You shoot for 60% efficiency by the quarterback on accuracy on deep balls. That's Ryan Day brought that to us, and I've researched it, and that's what we try to accomplish. And he was higher than that on Saturday, and he's been higher than that. So receivers got to make plays for him as well. So he shoulders a lot. You know, you're the quarterback. You're going to shoulder everything.
And final questions, Tim, front row.
Yeah, Urban, can you enlighten us at all on the Eric Glover-Williams departure in any respect? Insubordination, what was the cause for it?
School conduct issue.
And then back to what you were talking about a while ago about JT, I'm just wondering, as you watched the video of what y'all did offensively Thursday night, what did you see that, I don't know, enthused you? I saw a lot of crossing routes. I saw a lot of balls trying to be thrown to guys on the run, etc. I'm just wondering, what was your take from what you saw that enthused you heading forward that's a little bit different?
I think crossing routes, you can see we had a major emphasis on that, and Coach Day brought a lot of those concepts to us, and they've been working very well for us. And I think you know, receivers like to catch those things on the move, and anytime you have 2, I think 70-yard catches or close to 70-yard catches, and they're short and they run with it, that excites me as much as catching a deep ball. That you're letting your athletes go run, and we have some speed out there.
So in your mind, y'all did get some deep balls, just not the kind of deep balls you wanted to get. But
not the ones we worked.
Deep ball's a deep ball.
In the record book, it says 74 yards.
All right, Coach.
Thanks, guys.